Hi, good evening. It is October 16th, Thursday, 7 p.m. I podcast this Slava Heroyam podcast every Thursday at 7 p.m. But today is the year of our Lord, 16 October 2025. And the status of Ukraine is pretty much the same. Today, our hero of the week is we're going to go through several snipers. Female snipers have contributed much to the war, and some of them have become legendary. We're going to talk about them. We're going to honor some of our fallen heroes, which includes civilians. And we're going to talk about another way that you can help the war effort in Ukraine by talking about our organization of the week. Last week, we talked about Blue Check. We've talked about Ed's friends before. We've talked about Women for Ukraine, or Women for Ukraine. That's a little bit of a slip there. We've talked about Wingmen for Ukraine. And let me real quick post that I am now live on Facebook. And I'm kind of doing this very much off the cuff today. Been busy with a lot of other things. So let's see. Share to my copy link. And we've got to go. All right. So I'm going to try to get set up here with a few things. So if you're, since I am running behind schedule, but I missed last week and I didn't want to miss this week for you guys. We have nobody viewing. It'd be nice. I wonder if it'll make a chime if I actually get a viewer. Otherwise, all this nonsense will be edited out. And I'll start off with another new introduction. All right. We are live on Substack. I don't, please do subscribe to my Substack. I don't charge for Substack because I'd rather you take that buy me a coffee type money and send that to one of the organizations that we promote for the Ukraine war effort. And remember, when you support the humanitarian or military efforts of Ukraine, you are supporting not only Ukraine's human assistance, you're supporting global security, not just Ukraine's security. That's very much why this podcast exists, to tell you why that is so. Okay. Yeah, go, 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 go. Hmm. Well, how the hell do I? Oh, there we go. Overlay Q&A. Oops. That's me. Okay, so if I want to... All right, well, I don't want this anymore. What's the point of this if I can't... I don't want... Hmm. QR code, video clips, loop, background. I'm just watching to see if anyone joins right now. If you are here and it is not telling me someone's watching, I'm very sorry. But I am going to continue to get set up here. That adds a person. I'm becoming more and more familiar with what this does, but I want to be able to put pictures up in the thing. And it feels like there's this thing that I just put in here, media assets, and it didn't. What's the point of it if I can't? Maybe if I save it, custom layout 1. Okay. I can manage my layouts from settings. Cropped layout, screen layout, custom layout 1. Okay. Okay, so, okay, now I can go to my custom layout, which did absolutely nothing. No. What was the point of, well, that made me go away. We don't like that one. There's me in a little thing. Yeah, I can do it this way. Can I not make this bigger? Oh, no, I don't want to make it bigger. Is that what everyone sees? Me in a little teeny thing? I think that's the best way to do this for now, till I figure out more. And then I can switch to her. Okay. Turn that off. All right. Okay. 20 minutes in. Let's start the whole darn thing over since no one joined me. Thinking about main topic. Main topic still no fly zones. I got animals running around back there. Okay. What's media presentation? My scenes. I have scenes. Active ones. Set outro. Speaker view. Group discussion. Media presentation. It's a good question. Oh. Then can I? Well, I have a media presentation, but oh wow, you can really kind of prepare these better, huh? And then you just switch to this one. Oh, that's fun. Okay, and then okay. All right. I guess the last thing I want to do is we will talk about chili. Whoops. All right, starting over. Welcome to the Slava Heroyam. Since I get to do as many takes as I want. Welcome to the Slava Heroyam podcast. This is episode 11, taking place as usual at 7 p.m. on a Thursday night. It is now 7:30 p.m. I was a little late getting set up. And if you are joining this later, thank you so much for clicking on the video. I do this weekly on Substack, but it's also on YouTube, and you can join me live on Facebook if that is your preferred method. When you subscribe to Substack, I do not do any charged versions of that. If you've heard that Substack costs money or anything, I'd rather you take that money and promote and use it to give it to the Ukrainian assistance organizations. In fact, one of my favorite ones is called the Ukrainian Assistance Organization, who give humanitarian aid and medicine and doctors and drone protection and things like smart watches to deaf Ukrainians, and provide surgeons, surgeon training, even gear for the Ukrainian military, vehicles. Wingman for Ukraine does a lot of pilot gear that the pilots need to update their gear and their survival pack should they need to eject. Very many ways that I promote supporting and giving to Ukraine in this podcast, because when you support Ukraine, you are supporting global security. Trump just met with Putin again recently, and in that conversation, it was kind of like, I'd like to help, but we don't want to start World War III over Ukraine. And spoiler alert, if Ukraine falls, you will get World War III. So that is in our best interest to win this war and have it be won swiftly and decisively. One way we've been talking about doing that is with a no-fly zone. On October 10th, earlier this week, we had another huge attack. Ukraine gets attacked every night, but every once in a while, Ukraine gets one of these huge, all fronts, massive attacks with drones and missiles targeting just about every city. And they do so with artillery too. Nothing seemed to have flown into NATO territory again lately. But another big drone attack, in the Ukraine once again took down, around 90% of those attacks. They're becoming more and more prepared, but as always, something slips through the cracks. And so we have some fallen heroes to talk about as a result of those attacks earlier this month. And but first, I can't possibly honor every fallen hero. There have been around an estimated 13,300 civilians killed in Ukraine. Not all of them by drone attacks, a lot of them by Russians invading the home and doing terrible things, shooting cars in the streets. And of course, we all know about the human safari. There is an excellent documentary out that I promote every time I have this podcast. It is called Heroyam Human Safari, and you can watch it at heroyamhumansafari.com. My guest for my very first podcast is the auteur of that, and she's currently back in Heroyam working on an update to that documentary. Okay, so why some of the logistics of a no-fly zone we've talked about before. The way it will help stop drones is to allow is to make it inexcusable for anything to fly. Doing a note that isn't NATO forces. So drones enter Ukraine territory. Not only will they be shot down, but their source, their launch points will be targeted. That is the kind of aggressive no-fly zone you need. You enforce that till you get a ceasefire. Then when you get a ceasefire, you can have some actual talks instead of all this dicking around. But 13,300. Not for lack of trying. Russia would, if it could, increase that number to try and rival, hundreds of thousands. They really want to break the will of Ukraine by targeting the civilians. But two civilians that I do know that we lost. So So I go to my other media board, show on the stage. No, this is not what I want. I want this. And I go down here to this. I go to where I'm tiny, and our first fallen hero, known as Victoria. All right. So this is Victoria Goncharova. Victoria Goncharova and her husband were targeted. This says by Russian drones, but in another source that I have seen, it says her and her husband were targeted by artillery attack on Nikopol. But her and her husband were both wounded, and she died on September 24th, and she died a few days ago in October. Really young person. I have a daughter 1 year older than her. Just lives being snuffed out that don't need to be. Once again, I've talked to a lot of people that think Ukraine is like a third world country. These are people of an advanced nation. The nation as a whole is poorer than a lot of nations in Europe, but it is the richest of the former Soviet Union nations, and it was well on its way to becoming a lot richer because they had gotten rid of a lot of the government corruption that was holding them back. And now they have to deal with this war. But along with her, also, we lost another young woman, my oldest daughter's age, Ruslana Morozova. She did die from a drone strike on her store. So I wonder if this is Nikopol. I need to look up where Nikopol is later. But this is a victim of the human safari. Human safari happens everywhere, not just Kherson. So we want to remember these civilians as heroes because they could have run, but they decided to stay. That was their home, and they were not to be deterred, and their friends and family are not to be deterred either. I hope that I am able to be heard. Okay, yeah, I am. It'd be suck if I'd been talking this whole time and not recording. But knowing me, I would have done something like that. So we remember them with a moment of science. A moment of science. The science that we want to promote is a no-fly zone to prevent more deaths like these. Okay. Back to my regularly scheduled screen. Okay. And then get rid of this. Okay. So we're going to talk about Hero of the Week last. I don't really have a big news story or theme, but every podcast is going to do the same three things. People we've lost, organizations where you can help, and a hero of the week, an individual story. This time, we're going to be talking about the women snipers of Ukraine. Here we go. So, very similar to the Ukrainian Assistance Organization is the UAI. Ukrainian Assistance Impact about our work. What does UAI stand for? Donate. Ukrainian town of Connecticut. Oh. Okay. So this is run through a town in Connecticut that helped out during World War II. These folks seem to recognize that World War II and the situation in Ukraine are very similar. Residents of Westport extended their support to a new friend in need, Lyman, Ukraine. Help Ukrainians live. So this is a U.S.-run organization. And what they do is you have one city in the U.S. and they sponsor a corresponding city in Ukraine. They say their big thing is they only deliver to non-military aid to civilians and civilian leadership. And they have an accountability and anti-corruption program. So if that's something we're big on here is legitimizing, as finding all the legitimate charities so that you know that your money is actually getting to Ukrainians. And you can join a committee. Ukraine Aid International. would have been, I would have sounded smarter if I knew what these folks were called. Ukraine rebuilding Ukraine a city at a time. Ukraine Aid International, rebuilding Ukraine a city at a time. They are our organization of the week. As you see here, what they do is they started doing this in World War II. A town in Connecticut sponsored, what did they say, a town in France, because France had been taken over. So same sort of thing here in Ukraine. They've got city per city. They have a staff base in each city, and then they have a corresponding city in Ukraine that they're helping. Looks like Lviv, Kyiv, all these cities all on the front line are sponsored, and they're big on anti-corruption. We always want to promote that on this channel to make sure you're giving your time and money to aid that's going to actually reach Ukrainians. Now, this organization wants to make sure you know that they're delivering only to humanitarian, non-military aid. There's a lot of folks out there that, that are not hawks like me, and I understand that. And so if you have a problem with thinking that your aid is going to go to something military, like fighter pilots or tanks or things of that, or vehicles for armed units. There's a lot of organizations that do that. A lot of organizations that help U.S. soldiers that are volunteering and fighting over there. We did a special on an organization on our podcast a couple episodes ago on that. But these guys, the Ukraine Aid International, are civilian only. So if you're only interested in helping the suffering civilians, like the ones that are getting killed by the human safari, then I suggest you look at this organization. They bring medicine. They are very much about helping rebuild homes, schools, municipal buildings, and helping the leadership of Ukraine keep the people of their spirits up. So, this is a very special organization. You can choose your city that has been affected by the war and the human safari, um, and have a sister city. Let's click on. Oops, it took me to a whole different page. Here's Lyman and Westport, Lyman, Ukraine, and Westport in the U.S. So it gives you a background on this page, and all these people meet each other. I just love how this organization really shows how we're all connected, city to city, not warrior to warrior, but person to person, just trying to rebuild and stave off the terror campaign that Russia's trying to do through the power of our humanity and friendship. It's a good organization. They have a clear donate button right there. Take your money that you would give to subscribing to me or subscribing to other sites on the internet, and help out the world. Okay, next item. Okay, and that brings us to our heroes of the week. Now, we started off this series with charcoal. There we go. So we remember on episode 10, we talked about charcoal and how she sort of was the first really promoted female or propagandized female sniper. And I felt like that was very important. And I was going to do one at a time, all these lady snipers. But I think in light of just people with certain leaders saying women shouldn't be in combat roles, I think it's important to show women surviving and thriving in combat roles. And one of the ones who really kicked ass in a combat role is this lady right here. Make sure it switches over to her. Okay, this is Evgenia. I hope I'm saying that right. Some names are harder than others for me. Evgenia, but Emerald. Evgenia Emerald. Now, she is very interesting in that she's had a dream of being big time jeweler and beautician. She did grow up a bit of a tomboy, learning to shoot from her dad. But this is who she'd rather be, a woman on a red carpet. She's got an Instagram. She's a big influencer. But she's good with a gun, and you've shown, camera footage of her taking out the enemy, and she has no qualms about that. Now, she fought for several months. Unlike Charcoal, she did not fight in the war of the anti-terror campaign. And she served not as a Marine, but in the Army and in frontline units in the Donbass. Her kill count is not recorded, but the more interesting thing about her is the relationships that she found and improved herself with her male counterparts. She's become quite the ambassador for female warriors. There she is in the cover of Ukrainian Businesswoman. So we'll just call her Emerald. Emerald is fierce, but doesn't live like a double life, but is just a person that showed that war didn't have to take away her dream or who she was. It can do that for a lot of people, and I'm sure there's damage and scars on the inside that can never be shown. She does talk about losing friends and losing people and seeing people maimed. Um, she wasn't going to stop that from letting her live the human life that she wanted to live. Um, and she already had one daughter that she was leaving at home as she went to fight. Um, Not sure what happened to original father, but he was out of the picture one way or the other, and met on the battlefield a battlefield romance. So if you're a romance fan, uh, eventually it might be a very interesting story. But she fought and married this new fellow, and fought for 36 more weeks while pregnant, and then went home, had her second daughter, and now has left the fight permanently to raise her two daughters. But leaving the fight did not mean that she had to stop fighting against Russia. And so now she fights as an anti propagandist because she's seen the horrors of what the terrorist state is doing to her nation. And that brings us to our final female warrior that I'd like to talk about today. Her name is Chili. Her call sign is Chili. Chili is only known by her call sign. But strangely, besides not knowing her name, we kind of know more about her combat experience than the other two based on an interview she gave. And I'd like to kind of take a look and go ahead and react to that interview right now as our main topic of today. And yeah, let's see what we can learn from this female warrior and what it has been like as a sniper who is still a sniper in the Army on the front lines today. This interview took place in January, where Chile had racked up 60 kills. She's the only one on this list of sniper heroes that that I know the kill count for, and may it keep growing. Okay, so I'm going to share this tab instead. We're going to hit
The commander says you are going to the frontline position tomorrow. I say, okay, I'll go. I did not sleep the night before the first task. I was worried because I did not know how it would be, how it would feel, what was
and
waiting for me.
This is only a 10-minute video, by the way. So if you're not big on reaction videos, I'm going to comment every now and then. We'll stop it every so much. I'm, as an Air Force guy, this fascinates me. I'm not really familiar with ground warfare, but what I am interested in is the human element of what it takes to fight against this particular enemy who's very determined to destroy your country. And I want people to try to place yourselves in the shoes of a mother that had no ambition of being a warrior. None of these three ladies had any ambition to join the military and shoot people's heads off. But why are they doing that? This particular woman, she is the one who stayed to fight, and two of her brothers fled the country. So we'll get into that in a minute. But there she is in a nice fortified position, taking a shot.
It is impossible to prepare emotionally for this, but in the end, it was cool. Except that everything wants to kill you. 150 meters before the position, they started shooting at us. We kept moving. The shoots came closer and closer, and the third one was already 15 meters from me. I clearly remember those sparks and the explosion. Frankly, it was invigorating. Surprisingly, I did not get scared, did not freeze, and went on. When we got to the position, my comrade's smile said, "No way, you have balls of steel." That was the moment I realized that I really have something for this job. Before I made my first shot at the front line, I saw a warm spot in the equipment at the enemy's position. I can't prove what it was, but it is likely that it was an occupier.
Loss of empathy.
It's a little scary.
So this is a story that gets repeated with each sniper that I've covered. They prove themselves or surprise their male counterparts in how fierce they are. I think it's a type of combat that, under pressure, a lot of women can do amazing things that even some men may not have been prepared for. Balls of steel, as they said. But I watched another documentary where talking about how many female snipers there are in Ukraine. There's three big jobs for the military in Ukraine where women make up a fifth of the total force. One of them is combat medic, one of them is sniper, and the other one is drone operator. And we'll be talking more about drone operators next week with an expert. But snipers, that's right in the thick of things. And she's about to talk about how she deals with the psychology of taking a life.
Of course, and then you are on a roll and think you need more. I lost the sense of empathy for everyone. You no longer have inhibitions from feeling the irreversibility of death making. It's hard to explain. To be honest, sometimes I even wonder what I will do when I get back to normal life. It seems to me that I will be looking for myself for a very long and boring time. Because apart from the army, I no longer know what to do.
So that symbol you just saw was, I wonder if I can get back to it. There's my taskbar is in the way for some reason. Oh, there we go. Let's go back to this symbol if I can. It's like
What to do.
So there we go. She mentions that she watches anime, and that's kind of where she bonds over. But this is a big Naruto symbol called the Sharingan, And what that means is that it's a superpower for ninjas, where some of a certain family have this eye power that can guess an enemy's movement before they even make it. So it's more than just a bullseye symbol. It's a anime inspired warrior symbol that she's wearing there. And I wonder if she's made it for herself or if she's got it for her whole scout unit. But when you talk about warrior ethos, this is the real warrior ethos right here, not not certain speeches that were made this month. So this is a nice little photo shoot here.
Oh, I have something to tell you. I have such an unusual family story. In short, I have two brothers. They both went abroad, while I went to serve the army.
What do you say to them?
I don't communicate with them.
Why?
Well, what common topics can we have with them now? I don't care how they live. I know what I'm living now and why I'm doing it. I have a 10-year-old son. He also knows where I am and what I'm doing. He's waiting for me at home. I explain the situation to him, that it is necessary, that I must be here now. But he's a child. He wants a mother near himself. He draws a lot, sends me these drawings. On them, the mother is standing there in uniform, helmet, and with a rifle. The son writes, "Mom, I love you." It's nice, but it hurts me so much. During the quarrels at school, when he and other boys cry or fight, he says, "My mom is in with the war. She is a sniper. She will come and show you. Got it?" All in all, the main reason I came here is so that my son doesn't end up in the trenches one day. I'd rather...
That is like, imagine, you have reservations about my kids being in the military now, but imagine fighting for tomorrow so that your kids don't don't have to fight the same war that you're fighting. This is a war, that can go on forever and a day if the way it's going, with negotiations not happening for real. It needs to be won, and a warrior realizes that there's no negotiating with what's attacking them. We always like to think that there's some way towards peace, because most of us are human and we see these horrible atrocities in Russia and in Gaza, and we think to ourselves, there's got to be a way we can stop this by talking it out. There's got to be a way. And I think the declaring yourself a Department of War is not a warrior ethos. It's realizing that you're fighting for a future of peace, which is why you call something the Department of Defense, not a Department of Infinite War. The warrior wants to win and be done with it. And they don't have time to worry about those who feel differently or run away. They can respect that decision, but they don't have time for it. So, again, I think maybe that's the real topic of this conversation today is, well, what is the real warrior ethos? Here it is. Here it is.
Do it, and he'll live a normal life. We must now do the maximum we could so that it ends now and it doesn't continue for years. We have to end it now, not later, not some years after, but right now.
That is an armor-piercing rifle she's carrying, 50 caliber.
What we watch in the movies and what happens in real life are radically different. In the film, snipers walk freely in disguise or lie in one place. In reality, everything is not like that. You have to hide from everything, from drones, from infantrymen, from everyone and everything that is there. And you have to do a lot of things very quickly.
Is a sniper a priority target for the enemy?
Of course, if the enemy finds a sniper, absolutely all means and forces will be aimed at that place. I mean, this shelling comes from everything possible. Scouts and snipers are the most hated. Snipers are not those who could be captured. In general, I prepared myself for this. I did not think that everything would be light, beautiful, glamorous there. No, I knew where I was going. That I can die, that I can become disabled. I thought about all these moments. I was ready for it.
Well, there's one thing that she doesn't talk about, but there's a subtext here, and that being a woman, there's an extra danger, especially for a sniper. A lot of snipers will be executed, but for her, the Russian captors would rape and do worse to her. There's another sniper that is quoted as saying that every Ukrainian female sniper should be ready to end herself with a grenade rather than be captured because of what they would have to endure. That would be worse than what the men would.
The sniper's task is to disarm the enemy. It doesn't matter whether you kill or maim him. The main thing is that he is not a threat anymore. Once, a flock of invaders were running on the landing. I watched their movements. They ran, most likely hiding from the drones. I worked against them with Barrett.
Barrett's her partner. Cognac Joe. Barrett. I wonder if he's like named after Final Fantasy since they're
brazenly with a challenge with the
so
words,
she like
"What's up,
Tifa and
dudes?
he's
Will
Barrett.
we be friends?" They replied, it turns out we will. Actually, it's very cool to have such a team. I wanted to get into such a moving company where there is brotherhood and mutual help. I have found it. My guys are everything to me. They are my second family. Where we got to know each other, there were different moments. We quarreled sometimes, but everything is fine now. We are watching anime together. When you need to talk to someone, or when you're confused by situation or worried about something, we can sit down, have a smoke break, chat, discuss everything. I have a support. It's very important. I have been fascinated by snipers since I was a child. When I saw them in movies, I was interested in how it works in general, how to disguise yourself properly, how to use sniper rifles. When I had such an opportunity, I went to study. First, I took a course at Ukrainian sniping school. Then I went to Norway and finished the course there. The schools in general are similar, but the climate is different. Of course, it was very cold in Norway, and the conditions of study were harsh. Once, at a training ground there, We studied how to sneak up to positions and how to set up a workplace. And I stepped into something that fell through a kind of a deep pit with nothing under it. I fell in up to my ears and thought, what should I do? I held on to some spruce and got myself out. But the situation was such that if I hadn't gotten out myself, I don't know if anyone would have been able to find and save me.
So she almost died in training. Now we've had winter training before as pilots, and they would warn you that you could fall into pits like that. And one time they warned us, well, sometimes the pits might be a bear den. So I don't know if they have bear dens in Norway. Probably. But you would have had to be armed with bear mace. But yeah, hopefully she didn't have a radio. She was learning winter sniping. She's going to have to be doing some winter sniping here again in the near future. But it's real interesting. She trained during the war in Norway and then returned during the war to the front. It'd be nice if we in the United States could also offer some of that training. But we trained some F-16 pilots at least.
Before each battle, we check the accuracy of each rifle. Now here is a daytime optic and Archer is at 338. At night, we work only with Archer. This is a thermal imaging device with which we see silhouettes very well at night and then we work against them. This is a 308 caliber sniper rifle called UAR-10. I like it. It's light, easy to use, cool mini sniper rifle. It is relevant for distances from 300 to 800 meters. This is its operating distance. Next, snipers have larger calibers, 338, Barrett, Ruger. The more qualified a sniper is, the larger caliber he takes later. If a person wants to become a sniper in our brigade, then welcome. We have a very cool instructors who will teach you to understand what sniper rifles are, how to use them, and everything else. You have to understand that this is not just a job. No, you have to live sniping. You are welcome if you want to live it.
So was that a little bit of a recruitment push at the end? Come on, ladies. Come out and join me. We'll have fun killing the orcs together. That's going to do it for the Slava Heroyam podcast this time. Remember to find me on all the socials. I'm on Blue Sky. The website for this Ukraine Aid International is ukraineaidinternational.org. .org. I will put that. This time I didn't put it on the screen like I normally do. So in the edited version of this, I'll put a link in the description for your donations. And next week we'll have on we're going to have on Charlie Morris. And we're going to talk more drone defense and drone interception. And he runs we're going to talk more about that. And we're going to talk more about some different screenings of documentaries that we've got going on that we're trying to set up, especially of Kherson Human Safari. And we'll see you next time. Glory to those who support and defend the Constitution of the United States. and realize that it is under attack currently. And glory to Ukraine, glory to the heroes.